AM 560. The Answer.
If you've been fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask. Let me repeat. If you are fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask.
Or I could just say no to both. Eric in Marengo.
Hey, Sean, I just want to tell you a story about my mom. I can't make this up, but it was just today. My mom died on June 12th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right? Yeah. And it was just today. I went through some things, and I had to take apart her wallet. And, so I'm taking it apart, and I set the stuff in my mom's wallet on the counter. And my wife goes, "Did you know your mom was vaccinated?" And I said, "What?" I had talked to her, and I said, "Don't take that."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She swore to me she never took it. Yeah. She got it. And then they say she had a lot of, she was only 69 years old. She had a lot of complications.
Young.
Yeah, she had a lot. Yeah, I know. She had a lot of other things, but she never had any heart problems. She had a little touch of diabetes and this and that, but nothing. She wasn't that big, all right? And they say that her heart gave out in her sleep, but she was in the middle of the day. She died in her sleep. And
I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I will tell you, it's there's a reason that whenever somebody dies and they're young, you're 69, it's young. And you hear somebody die in their early 60s, in their late 50s, in their mid 50s, in their 40s. The first thought, whether the government wants to admit it or not, whether these swindlers who are Democrats want to admit it or not, the first thought on anybody's mind is, were they vaccinated? That's the first thought. And the ignoring of the well, no, but I'm just saying that's the thought on everybody's mind when you hear someone died of complications out of nowhere. They were perfectly fine and then they died. And I've had friends do it. Other people have, and the reality is this is something we have to get to the bottom. We have to get to the bottom of, and
yes,
that Ron Johnson for all those years, everything he did when he talked about the vaccine, when he talked about giving a platform to people who were vaccine injured, and the way in which the media froze them out, it was really something to watch. And that's when first of all, when the government is selling you something like that, it's a fraud. But to me,
I talk to her every week. I said, whatever you do, don't take this. Don't do it. Don't do it. And she said, "Oh, no, I won't, baby."
I'm sorry.
I just found out she took it.
Well, I'm sorry about that, Eric. But believe me when I tell you, history will vindicate your suspicions and mine. Thank you very much. And tough thing. Tough thing. But it's not like we hadn't our own suspicions. The difference between then and before is that the media and the government worked tirelessly to cover it up. And when you want to know why, it's the same reason it always is. It's always the same reason.
Another question for you. The NIH continues to refuse to voluntarily divulge the names of scientists who receive royalties and from which companies. Over the period of time from 2010 to 2016, 27,000 royalty payments were paid to 1,800 NIH employees. We know that not because you told us, but because we forced you to tell us through the Freedom of Information Act. Over $193 million was given to these 1,800 employees. Can you tell me that you have not received a royalty from any entity that you ever oversaw the distribution of money in research grants?
Well, first of all, let's talk about royalties.
That's the question. No, that's the question. Have you ever received a royalty payment from a company that you later oversaw money?
See, it's so much abuse, so much atrocity, so much swindle that it's easy to forget these things, or it's easy to get sidetracked. But you must never give up on exactly what was done to the American people during COVID by the Democrat mafia. Never. Craig in Mount Greywood.
Hey, Sean, thank you so much for taking my call. I got so many friends and people that died from them things and everything, and there's no question whatsoever. This girl that was a friend of mine at work, I mean, 50 years old, she basically went to bed healthy, nothing wrong with her. But listen, the capillaries get blocked up from the spikes around the heart, and that's why the young people were dying. when the blood tries to go into the capillaries around the heart, they're all blocked up with spikes. It's like micro cholesterol in our veins and like that. And a friend of mine is 60 years old. He ran 2 miles every morning, super healthy and everything like that. But the shots were the worst for people that were really active and did like sports and everything. It was really, and young. I mean, if you're old and lazy or something like that, it didn't affect you as bad. But young people, and I got so many people, friends that got sick from it, real sick, and got cancer. One of them died from the cancer and all that. Those shots, they got to find out and put those people in jail. They killed my friends. They basically did all kinds of bad stuff there and everything, and nobody. It's like they're going to get away with it, and they shouldn't.
They're not going to get away with Jack, Mo. They're not going to get away with Jack, and we've had good people on this from the very beginning.
Dr. Vaughn, you were really specializing in the blood clots. I've seen video after video, picture after picture of these long white blood clots in autopsy. We've also, throughout COVID, autopsies were really discouraged. We weren't seeking the scientific truth. I see Dr. McCullough, I'll have you kind of answer that. But, Dr. Vaughn, first talk about the clotting we saw and what you know in terms of what was discovered under autopsy.
Well, first of all, early in COVID, the spring of 2020, my collaborator, Jacques Lopscher in South Africa, was the first one to kind of alert people to say that this was primarily a vascular disease, not a pulmonary disease. And that's one of the reasons that ventilators are probably one of the most ineffective things you could have done to people, because if you have a vascular disease of the lungs, increasing the intrathoracic pressure just closes down more vessels and ultimately kills them. And what we also saw was if you went into the hospital in the spring or summer of 2020, you were twice as likely to leave alive if you were already on a blood thinner. Now, I will tell you, most of your friends that are on blood thinners probably aren't healthier than you. So it's kind of interesting to find out that the people that were on blood thinners had a protection. So again, those were signals that were really downplayed. Unfortunately, after a lot of the treatment was codified by the CARES Act, it resulted in basically a protocol-based treatment for in-hospital care. But what we uniquely found, and my collaborators in South Africa, Risha Pretorius and Doug Kell at University of Liverpool, was that the spike protein was able to induce fibrin from fibrinogen, which is a fancy word for saying, hey, forming the backbone of clotting. But it did it in a way that was different, that we had not seen. And it was what we would similarly think of fibrin as kind of like spaghetti coming out of the colander that you could pull apart when you didn't need it. It was easy to...
Now, you really want to go down the rabbit hole of the diabolical nature of controligarchs and oligarchs like Bill Gates, World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, and all of the entities that, by the way, made a fortune on COVID. Their biggest fear for the last 110 years is overpopulation, if you really want to think about what the goal was. Mark, Oak Lawn.
Sean, thanks for taking my call. This COVID, for all these hospitals, everybody made money, that dealt with the government.
Yeah.
All the hospitals, pre-existing conditions. Oh, that's a COVID death. Oh, that's a COVID death. Oh, we're paid by the government. Where's our check? Cha-ching, cha-ching.
How about Loretto? Remember Loretto had the one doctor, 100 million in COVID tests.
Oh, John, they're unbelievable. If these people, if they could use their minds the way that they use them for criminal activities, they could really do a great job, but they can't help themselves.
Mark, you have to understand what they're really after is population control and have been for 150 years.
Yeah,
this was the plight of the Fabians, of the Marxists.
Yeah,
they want
to kill every baby they can get their hands on. And the one thing though, the Catholic Church, with this whole immigration thing, they get money for every placement, for every immigrant that comes over the border from Mexico. They're paid off.
Mark, do you know how many immigrants are vaccinated? Let alone just for the stuff we cured 100 years ago. Deborah, Arlington Heights.
Hi, Sean. I have a sister that almost died from COVID pneumonia. She was in the hospital for a month. She's only alive because of her stubbornness. They wanted to immediately when she went in, they wanted to put her on a ventilator, and she refused. So they put her on high-flow oxygen, and they actually put a DNR on her chart, which she didn't even know about until somebody brought it up a few days later. And then they wanted her to take remdesivir, and she took one treatment, and I talked to her and I said, that causes kidney damage. So she refused that also. But they pushed those things on people, and she'd be dead if she went on a ventilator. She would be dead.
Deborah, do yourself a favor and tell your sister as well. There's a book called The Global Coup d'etat, and it's written by Jacob Norengard. And he's the guy that I talked to. I had the pleasure of talking to him. He also wrote the book a couple of years ago, that I think is everybody must read it, and it's called Rockefeller Controlling the Game. And when you look at what these people that set up all of these organizations, these global organizations, it's always set up from these Fabians in Europe and America. And the main focus was, and always on the mind of, is population control. Population. Look at Bill Gates' father. These are well-known practitioners of eugenics. They love the idea of population control. They wanted to manipulate societies around the world. And these are the people who have hold captive all of these entities. And when you reflect on COVID, the whole thing from the beginning to the end to the reality of having COVID, which most of us had, and you look at what happened and look at how it fit the format of controlling everything and destroying the principles of what America is. You had politician morons take away your ability to go see your sister in the hospital. Did you go see her?
No, nobody was allowed to. Her husband couldn't go. Nobody could go.
Think about that.
Nobody.
You want to talk inhumanity to man? People died alone. Your sister's lucky.
Right.
But there are millions, maybe tens, that were never that lucky. That pandemic, or PLANdemic, as I like to refer to it, forever changed the principles of what control over your own life is. And they're still doing it. They're still doing it. And I will bet you $1 to a donut, and I like to bet, there isn't one important politician in this country that really is vaccinated. Not one. And that, if we could ever get to the bottom of that, I'd really be interested. But that's just me speculating. I think, therefore, I am. Deborah, thank you very much. And when it comes to how they used it to steal the election through the ballots and through the fraud, and then January 6th, the cherry that was supposed to quiet us all down. We're just getting into really looking into January 6th. And the control oligarchs, the profiteers of policy, they don't like it. Like the drunk Pelosi.
Congresswoman Pelosi, are you at all concerned that the new January 6th committee will find you liable for that day? Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions. Thank you.
Money and control. That was the goal. And that's what they want you to forget. We're just getting started and kicking this door in. And when we get back, we will have Dr. Simone Gold. 312-642-5600. We'll be back.
This is the Sean Thompson Show, where Democrats are always wrong, Republicans are seldom right, and politicians are never, ever to be trusted. On AM 560, The Answer.